And so, how many here are on the cleanse? We got one on the cleanse.
Those two are here.
And you're on the cleanse?
Yeah.
How many have cleansed before? Or went through a detox? Okay, so most everybody here has some experience in cleansing. And today's topic is the art of detoxification. And why I call it the art of detoxification is because we're really sculpting or helping sculpt the art piece of your own body, the real you. And what I have found is that all this stuff we've accumulated has become part of us, but we can get rid of it. And it's that junk, it's all of that stuff, whatever that stuff is, that gets in the body, that stops the body from working the way the body was meant to work. And so some of that stuff is mucus and heavy metals, and there's so many things in the body, so much junk, and we don't really know the junk is there until we get it out. And so I'm going to be showing a couple videos like I do every Sunday, and I'm also going to be going through the detoxification symptoms that you might come up with. And then at the end, I want to show the benefits of doing a detox or a cleanse or so forth. But in the beginning, I want to help everyone get a smoothie. Maybe does someone pass this around? Or? Great.
One more.
Okay. Great. So, yep. So first, what's in the smoothie? What are you drinking?
Banana.
Yeah?
So you said coffee and
Any other guesses?
cereal.
Kale.
Kale. There are dates as well. There is spinach. There is chard. There is broccoli. And there is celery. And did I say parsley? Okay. So this is like a super green, this is a typical breakfast of mine, where every morning I'll have a green smoothie, and it'll have 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 different greens. And it's usually some sort of banana and date. And there's also blueberries. Now, when I made this about 10 or 15 minutes ago, it was brown because of the blueberries, the dark purple blueberries. But it seems like after a while, the greens say, I'm going to kick the blueberries' ass and take over. And the power of greens, where now this is totally green, you can see a little bit of dark speckles of the blueberry. So the power of greens, we had that last week, and it is up on YouTube as well. I don't know if anybody saw the power of greens, but on YouTube these presentations every week. So more people, some people can't make it on Sunday morning, and people want to see it. And so detoxification, I'm going to start with this video from the Tree of Life. I don't know if anybody knows the Tree of Life in Arizona. It's Selenia knows it, all right. And let's see here, common detox symptoms.
When you switch to a raw food diet or any kind of lifestyle diet choice that generally has you into a healthier way of living or increased cleansing, you do have what's called detox reactions. And that just has to do with your body finally having the support in the space to clear out whatever it needs to. And so it's common to experience things like nausea or lightheadedness, or sometimes increased fatigue or cravings in the first little while. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that toxicity in your body is now recirculating in order to be released. And so while it's circulating for that release, it shows up and it can affect it. And so it's definitely normal that people feel that at the beginning, and it depends on the person and how, if they have any major diseases or how sick they are. Some people it's very mild. Some people may just in the beginning experience some lightheadedness or some cravings or some moodiness. Other people it's more dramatic, but it is normal. And it's generally just something that someone has to wade through and go goes away once that kind of level, that layer has been detoxified, and they get to that, biological terrain, then they feel really good.
A lot of detox symptoms would be like fogginess, headaches, kind of fatigue, lack of energy. And at first, I would say I experienced that maybe a little bit, but one thing that really helped for me was just doing the full-on cleanse, like an herbal cleanse, something like a 2-week program or a month-long program, just like different herbs. And that covers everything, like liver lymphatic, valves, everything. So that was just like an accelerator to just kind of like cut down those detox symptoms.
I think the biggest detox that I'm experiencing a detox right now, and it's more emotional, and it's more psychological. And what I mean by psychological is, as I've shifted to eating live foods, it's really brought up all of my imbalances and habits. And so I had to really face those head on, or not. Personally, I experienced that much detox. I think for a lot of people, they get tired first, their energy levels goes up too low, so the body starts to rebalance itself. Because a lot of people have created their life force, their energy, and so the body needs to rest. That's what happens. That was my
So some of the common detox symptoms may include like low energy, some mild headaches, kind of sluggishness in the arm, smells coming out of the body, rashes coming out of the liver, so whiteness on the tongue, kind of bad breath. These are all the symptoms of detoxification. And in a healthy detox, looking at the slow and steady approach. If you're always pushing and you're constantly on these symptoms, it's not going to be fun. So how do you make it more fun? You make it more fun by supporting the body's natural detoxification and elimination pathways. So things like skin brushing every day, things like good oral hygiene, things like doing colonics, enemas, things like taking certain supplements like enzymes that help break down some of the toxins in the system, bringing in high quality superfoods, occasionally doing green juice, fasting teas, like we do at the Tree of Life. So doing modalities that support the whole process of detoxification will help to minimize those detoxification processes. A crisis is a crisis. You want to eliminate that. It actually stresses the body out. So if it's going too fast, you just suddenly jump on live foods, you want to back off a little bit and eat some more cooked food. It's okay. Stop that and slow that process down a little bit. Because in the long run, it'll be healthier for you. You won't stress out the liver.
So, who has been having symptoms? Any symptoms coming up from anyone on your film on your tongue? Yeah. That's I don't think I've ever not seen that. Film on the tongue. Yeah. Yeah. So what happened with your eyeballs? Yeah. Okay. So film on the tongue and film on the eyeballs. That totally makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. It's we're getting rid. There's so much junk. Yeah. I know when I was detoxing. And sometimes I'll still have it when I go high on the fruit, and I'll tell you in a minute why fruit is the highest detoxification food there is. But I would wake up like with tears, like not crying, but wet eyes and a lot of gooiness, and that's just the body cleaning itself out. And how about, have you experienced anything? Fatigue and headaches. Fatigue and headaches, I've never also seen anybody not have that. Nobody gets away with a headache, and nobody gets away with fatigue.
What about blurry vision?
Yeah.
Like when I wake up.
Yeah. Sure. I'm gonna show you the symptoms. And blurry vision. I mean, there's even a symptom. You know, we're gonna talk about mild, moderate, and strong detox symptoms. And one of the strong detox symptoms is temporary blindness. So I mean, you can get pretty far into the detox, and depending on what you did with your body beforehand. So how do we get the body to detoxify? This, by the way, is from Dr. Robert Morse, one of my mentors. And he's somebody who not only knows the science behind it from a Western medicine side, an allopathic side, and also from an Eastern philosophy and a raw food side. And he's somebody who's been through it himself. So he's gone through it. He's done some serious experimentations on himself. And so how do we get the body to detoxify? Ours is an alkaline species. Human beings are alkaline. And the first thing to do is change our foods from acid forming to alkaline. Consumption of alkaline forming foods, which are mainly fruits and vegetables, will begin the detox and rehydration process. And if you wish to speed up the cleansing, these fruits and veggies must be all raw. If you wish to dig deeper into tissue and speed the process even further, you can switch to all raw, fresh fruits only. And fruits have the highest amount of antioxidants and astringent properties. Their sugars are slow burning but powerful and will enhance the vitality of cells faster than any other food and with much less digestive effort. They also have the highest electrical properties of any food. And their energies in fruit are so high that they speed up neuron transport and endocrine function. So fruit is like, I used to think, well, because veggies taste the worst, they must be the best for you. Right? And fruit tastes so good. Well, good can be good for you. And my experience is that fruit is awesome. And I eat high fruit. And there's a lot of raw vegans who say, ease up on the fruit. And a lot of the fruit concerns are with combining it with fat. And so the candida, the diabetes, the hypo and hyperglycemia happens a lot. A lot of people want to blame the fruit, and you take out the fruit and those symptoms stop, and they say, see, it was the fruit. But that's not the whole picture. And detoxification really encompasses the whole picture. It strips your body down, and you get to know what your weaknesses are. You get to know what you've been doing in the past. But as long as we keep eating foods, keep eating, we're probably not going to notice anything until before our time we get old and we start to have all the epidemics that are out there between diabetes, and heart disease, and cancer, and all of those things are mostly due to our lifestyle. And diet is a huge part of people's lifestyle. And so, anybody know who that is? The mucusless diet guy. Good. That guy is serious business. That guy is Professor Arnold Ehret, and he was alive in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and he died in 1920 from not getting enough meat. I'm just kidding. He did actually a lecture, and he fell and hit his head and died on the spot after he did it. He was just starting to come, he was in LA, and there was a raw food movement back there, and more people were doing it, and this is a guy who seriously did fruit. And the toxicless and mucusless diet is called.
I mean, and he did that whole experiment where he just realized, but he walked like this epic journey to show that you had energy cells. Right. And it's kind of, I think, in Switzerland. And he cured
Right.
hundreds of people at terminal illness.
Yes.
What
Yes.
is his name?
With just
Arnold
rates.
Ehret.
Well, that's what he did. As
Ehret
he did more
is
research, he realized he could use
E-H-R-E-T.
this diet started with, but he got to the point where he just was like, just do fruit.
Yeah.
And he took it a little further, but
How easy is that?
fasting, major fasting, I think
did
water fast
Yeah.
in bed, people that were terminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did major stuff.
E-H-R-E-T.
I don't know that one.
His last name.
Oh, Ehret. Yeah, E-H-R-E-T. Yeah, and so he would do things like do experiments on his own body, and he would do a fast for 10 days, 20 days, 40 days. I think he did a 60-day one time, or 47, something in the high, like ridiculous, of water. We're not talking a juice fast, which is not even really a fast, but like just straight water. And I think after he did one time, maybe this was in his hiking or, deal, he did like a 21-day water fast or something like that. And then he broke it with like a quart or two of grape juice. And then eliminated, had like this elimination out of him that was like, said it was really nasty. And then he felt this surge of energy like he's never felt before, and he did like over 300 deep knee bends. So for like, we're talking butt to the heels, like 300. And so what happens when we break down the body, we get weak. And through detoxification, the symptoms come up. And most people, and I would say the vast majority of people will say, no, this isn't working for me, I don't want to do this, I want to go back to the way it was. But not too many people will go through it. And so this guy was also somebody that my mentor would follow and wanted to see results like him. And he's a big deal, and a lot of people in the raw food, well, everybody in the raw food movement knows of him at least to some degree. Anybody who knows who that is? Yeah, it's Bragg. It's not too good of a picture, but that is Paul Bragg. Does anybody know who Paul Bragg is? Okay. Yeah, Bragg's aminos, and anyway, he too was another one, a serious faster. He did 4 times a year, a 7 to 10 day water fast, and every day, every week on I think Sundays maybe he would do water only, and so he was eating 6 out of 7 days a week his whole life, and his energy was boundless. And he died in the 90s when he was in his 90s, I believe, surfing in Hawaii. And yeah, I mean, his energy was boundless. And he's the one, by the way, who is responsible for Jack LaLanne. Why Jack LaLanne became Jack LaLanne. This was Jack LaLanne's guy. Jack LaLanne heard this guy, and this guy's, long since passed, but Jack LaLanne heard him, and he was like 15, and he was a sickly kid, scrawny, skinny kid, and he had these sicknesses, and then he heard him, and then he immediately changed his diet, and from then on, Jack LaLanne became Jack LaLanne, and we all know who that is. And so my mentor, Dr. Robert Morse, would do fasting too, and he's somebody who would he ate like everybody ate, the typical standard American diet, and then he went into vegetarianism, I believe, and then he went into veganism, and then he went into raw, and then he wanted to get higher energy. So kind of like me, energy is what I'm about. I want higher energy, more energy, lasting energy, that loving energy, everything energetic. That's what I'm wanting, and I'm a student of this. And so he was doing raw foods, and then he knew that he would increase his energy if he took away the vegetables. So he just had nuts and seeds and fruits for a while, maybe. I'm not sure exactly how long. But then he took away the nuts and seeds, and he just had fruit for I think 3 or 4 years. Nothing but fruit. Was a fruitarian. And then in his last 3 or 4 months of fruit before he died, he had navel oranges for 6 months. Navel oranges for 6 months. Period. Because he wanted to go down to one type of food. And I talked to him about it, and I have his book, and I read a little bit, but I talked to him about it, and he said his energy was so high. And he said he didn't sleep. And I said, what do you mean you didn't sleep? And you mean you slept like less? And he goes, no, I didn't sleep. And I'm like, well, you don't sleep. You have to sleep in 6 months. And he said, well, I was just lying there in bed and just looking up. And I was like having outer body experiences. And I had to come back to the world and eat regular food again and kind of tell the world how magnificent this is. So sometimes we feel this energy boost. You know, we all have experienced this high energy. But there's levels of energy that are higher and then higher. And they just keep going, and it becomes like another world. And I'm interested in seeking higher levels of energy. I don't believe, at least at this time, I have what these guys had, the discipline, you know, I still want to be part of the world. I still want to come here and eat, you know, and see people and not just be on fruit and greens. But I want to increase that, and I might get to that someday. You know, I don't know. I've had times where I've been like a good 3 or 4 weeks of nothing but fruits and vegetables and not coming here to eat, or having to make me something that was just straight up and no fats, you know, so the body can really regenerate itself. Because it's just amazing, but things happen in detoxification, like I was saying earlier, that make people say no. The raw food diet doesn't work for me. This is not safe, or I need this, or I need that. And we all say that, and we'll have family and friends to tell us, yes, you know, for me, I was getting skinny, and they were right there to tell me, and I don't blame them. But I was looking skinny, and I was about 15 pounds skinnier than I am now, and I'm pretty light right now. And I was getting the cheeks were, and I didn't like that. But I've read their books, and I've talked to mentors and people who've gone before me, and so I stuck with it. And I'm so glad I did, because it's undescribable what I feel. But it's something that, you know, had I known this when I was a kid, I would have become raw. You know, I was 3 years old and just eating mangoes and, you know, greens and stuff like that. So there's all these symptoms, and here's some mild cleansing effect. Cold and flu-like symptoms, I've had that. Fevers, I've had that. Coughing with or without discharge. Clear and yellow mucus, yeah. Nose and throat, had that. Minor aches and pains, yeah. Mucus and stools, I don't know. Mucus and urine, I don't know. Loss of energy. Yep, I would go up and down. Every time the energy was going up, I was like, the raw food diet works. Every time the energy would go down, it's like, the raw food diet maybe doesn't work. And it's just the body going through that. And rashes and itching. I would have itching. I didn't have rashes, but I remember just like itching on my arms. And I'm like, what is this? You know, do I need to get some medicine? But more mild disease symptoms increasing temporarily. So a lot of times people will go on raw because they have a disease, and then their disease will increase their symptoms, and they'll be like, oh, raw doesn't work, you know, and then they stop, and then mucus from the eyes. Mild headaches is actually another line. It's supposed to be a line there, but minor blurred vision, minor vertigo, weight loss. I don't think anybody can escape the weight loss. Chills, I've had chills. Emotions rising up, such as mild crying, anger, or even laughter. I have a lot of friends, a lot of guys in my life. I like to call them like brothers from another mother. And we get together and we talk real. And sometimes there's 100 of us together, and we talk real stuff, like real meaning. I wouldn't be talking about stuff like this to other men. And I would be crying. There's other guys that cry too, but my crying was going up, and I was expressing stuff. And it wasn't like a bad cry, but it was just like I had so much to get out of me, and it was just coming up. And I was, everything was like magnified. It wasn't like I was like sensitive, not like that, but it was like I was really here and present to know, like if I had a brother that was hurting or something, I might be crying with him. And you know, guys don't do that. That's not how I grew up. You guys grew up like that. That's not regular man behavior, but I was getting that, and I never had nose. No, I did have a couple nosebleeds. I did notice that a couple times, and I was like, was something happening? Do I have like a, I don't know. I don't even know what it was. I don't know. I didn't experience rectal bleeding, minor blood in urine. I didn't have any of that. I never had symptoms of, oh here, we're in moderate now. Okay, so now we're going up a level. And symptoms, bronchitis and pneumonia, heavy discharges, green and brown mucus. Now we're getting into more color. Pain in joints, heavy discharge from kidneys. Urine could be brown. None of this happened to me. Pain in joints did. Pain in old injuries or degenerative. I have a bad hip, and so my hip was, I would feel it more so. Minor paralysis of limbs. Now I've experienced a little bit of minor paralysis, like stuff wasn't working. I remember for a while I was talking to people, and it felt like, you know when you get from a dentist and you can't.
I've been getting that. It's kind of cold around here.
Yeah, and it doesn't, and your mouth moves, but it doesn't feel like it's moving all the way or something. I got some of that, and I was like, uh-oh, this isn't working. And but it went away. Chronic fatigue symptoms. Sometimes I'll get tired, nosebleeds. Not really. Spasms of the lungs, moderate shortness of breath. Sometimes I would get that. Some people would get a temporary increase in tumor size. So some people will have cancer and try the raw vegan diet, and then their tumor will get bigger, and they say, well, the raw didn't work. And it was just about to work, according to
I'm a friend who's stage 4 right now.
Yeah.
She started alkaline,
Yeah.
Yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, she has a friend.
Yeah, it was her 25th birthday yesterday. She's 2 little boys. She's a single mom. She couldn't walk, and she's looking around on her walker now. Her tumors are shrinking.
So stage 4 cancer. She was in a walker, couldn't walk around. Tumors. I'm saying this again for the YouTubers out there. And then she was doing the chemo and doing the typical allopathic way of healing. And dominant. And have a seat anywhere. And then her tumors are now shrinking, and she's able to walk from raw foods. Now I've heard of stuff like that, and every time I hear it, I'm not ceased to be amazed at how powerful.
I correct myself. Vitamin C injections.
Vitamin C. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a bit.
Technically aren't supposed to be here.
Well.
They're not FDA approved. But
Yeah. Okay.
They get here somehow.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm not naming names.
Therapy too.
Yeah.
Helping a lot of cancer patients.
Yes.
We follow the whole raw food,
You got
all fruits, all carrot juice.
Yeah.
Yoga, he's cured people like all over the world from
Yeah.
cancer. It's not this. He's
Yeah.
actually not allowed in America because
Yeah.
all of the hospitals and doctors are so like
Yeah.
wanting to make their money off the cancer drugs, and he's like, no,
Yes.
you know,
I
cure it with food.
Totally, and I'm kind of afraid to even say it, because I could get mad. It's, you know, we're not supposed to say the C word, that raw foods helps the C word.
Right.
But the basic thing I will say is this, and there's evidence everywhere that stuff happens and stuff cleans up. But our bodies are meant to be healthy. Our bodies are meant to have high energy. Our bodies are meant to regenerate itself on a daily basis at night when we sleep, once we get out of the way. So all of these things, you know, one of the things Dr. Morse taught me was this disease has a name, and this disease has a name, and you put a name on this symptom or that symptom, and it's all the same thing. It's all acidosis of the body, and it's all the body is just one thing, and then there's these symptoms, and then they put a name on it, call it a disease, and it really comes down to acidosis of the body, and when we alkalinize our body, stuff starts to happen to our liking. But in the meantime, there are these detox symptoms. And those are the things that people say, no, the raw food diet doesn't work. No, this is not working, I need this and this and this. And what happens, just like I did, when I had a detoxification symptom, I would eat other than raw, and my detox symptom went away, and I would say, see, I needed this or that. And now I haven't had this or that in 2 years, and those symptoms are gone anyway. So the body, the reason why when you eat something that's not raw and the detox stops is because the body all of a sudden says, we have an emergency here, and we're going to go to this, we're going to digest this food, and we're going to stop regenerating here. We're going to put all our energy into digestion. And so we're temporarily on hold. And so, so where were we? Okay, temporary increase in tumor size. Disease symptoms magnifying, short-lived. Sores appearing on the skin. Oozing of innumerable substance from the skin, especially from the hands and feet. This is bruising is another line. So some people have bruising. Weak muscle breakdown, meaning muscle that was built on meat. All of a sudden, a lot of people on the raw, like guys who lose this muscle, they're like, oh no, I don't want to become a scrawny little kid. But like we showed 2 weeks ago in Where Do You Get Your Protein, there's bodybuilders, guys that are yoked who are eating raw, and it's just a matter of building new materials and heavy mucus discharge from the eyes and the ears. I remember getting it from the eyes and waking up and having that. Vomiting, I never had that. Diarrhea, and cellulitis, clumping, dizziness and vertigo, minor heart palpitations, loose teeth, minor abscesses in mouth, migraines, high fever, high-grade fever. Yeah. Come on in. Yeah, we still got some time. We started a little late. Yeah. Okay. Great. Come on in. Hey, how you doing? Okay. High-grade fever. Now the fever has gone up a little bit in the moderate. And deep coughing, sometimes dry. And let's see here. Depression or anxiety, emotional releasing, again, crying and anger. I think in the last few years, I've become so much more in touch with my feelings and just ready to cry. And it's a good thing. I seem to like it, maybe because so much of my life has been storing up the cry and not showing that I'm sad, or for so long being in denial, and then finally I get to just be free, and the freedom that happens from that. Heavy thoughts, lack of clarity, skin splitting, excessive itching, mercury tooth fillings that could go. Your body will get rid of mercury and possibly rectal bleeding from past or present hemorrhoids. And so these are all possible moderate cleansing symptoms. So those are the moderate ones. Now let's go to the strong ones. Let's get to business now. Paralysis of any part of the body. It is possible that people who are heavily on the standard American diet, heavily on medication or recreation drugs or anything like that, and then just go all the way over to the other side and say, I'm going to become this raw vegan. Stuff like this could happen if you do serious. So what I always help people with and suggest is to go slowly and to ease into it. And so, black mucus now we're into really dark mucus. Heavy brown discharge or blood in the urine, I mean, this is all, so people would be like, this is crazy, I'm getting, I would be like, I need to see a doctor immediately, or something. Tumors popping up all over the body. I mean, I've heard of people who, not like the Elephant Man or anything like that, but like there's serious stuff happens where this is wrong, something's happening, but the body wants to get rid of whatever it needs to get rid of. Loss of sight, temporary, blindness. I would stop the raw food diet immediately if I was blind. I would like try to go into it a little slower. Loss of hearing, severe dizziness or vertigo, severe fatigue, and abscesses developing all through the mouth. Loss of fingernails or toenails. These are the severe symptoms. Excessive weight loss, and it could be due to pancreatic weakness as well. Severe shortness of breath, and temporary deep depression, released through crying, anger, laughing, mental confusion, skin cracking open, teeth becoming loose, major. I've heard of people lose their teeth and grow newer, stronger ones on the raw diet. I haven't experienced that, but I've heard of that.
Adult teeth?
Adult teeth.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
I think I've heard
Some backups.
Right. That's it's weird. Yeah, if you lose your arm, you get a new one. Old suppressed symptoms like poison ivy, stuff like that happened way back. When I showed the picture of Paul Bragg, he had something where after he did a fast for a certain amount of time, and he broke his fast and had a bowel movement and had, I forgot what it was, but some kind of medication that he could smell come out of him that he hadn't had in like 30 years. And then his energy surged because that stuff was inside of him. That stuff that's inside of us, it's still in us. Unless we've detoxed, that's when we start to clear stuff out. And so these are old suppressed symptoms. And so why do we do all this? You know, what's the benefit? You know, and there is benefits. And increased energy, many more times dynamic and dramatic, deeper breathing. I know there are times when I'm breathing like I'm really breathing for the first time in a long time, and increased sense of smell, taste, and hearing. I'll go to places and I'll say, there's such and such here, and I'll be with a friend and they'll be like, I don't smell it, how can you tell? And then it'll come out like, I forgot what it was, but it was just recently I was with a friend and I was able to smell something he couldn't until I pointed it out to him, and he said, oh. And so I just smell more, which there are some drawbacks. When you smell more, when you're able to smell more, you're able to smell people more. And I'm able to smell breath and body odor more so than I used to. And sometimes it's hard to be around people when they're... Yeah. You know, it's like, hi, how are you doing today? No. But, so, tumor reduction or elimination, your friend had that. Her tumors went down just from raw cancer tumors. Loss of lymphatic swelling, greater strength in previously weak areas. I am looking forward to that. I want my hip to be as strong as it was before I degenerated it in playing basketball, overplaying basketball, and overeating everything that's not raw. And so acidosis and bone spurs. I'm going to build my hip. I can't wait to get a big hip. I'm still not done with basketball. I'm 43 years old and I am not done with basketball. Because on the raw food diet, age hardly matters. And so increased circulation, I've noticed that too. And then it's like, I know sometimes when I would run down the stairs, like in my apartment, and every step I could just like feel it go through my body, and it feels so good. And the next step is like, yes. And there's like a feeling of like I could feel my body. I could feel my body in ways that I want to feel it, and I don't feel those pains to the degree that I used to feel. I used to have, my ankles were hurting from basketball, and those seem to have improved so much better, and now I'm working on my hip. And part of my thing is I need to just stop playing basketball. I'm so addicted to it. I need to rest it for a while. But I want to play, but I need to stop before I'm tired, because I just love bouncing the ball and shooting the ball. Gray hair begins to disappear. It goes back to the natural color. Last week I talked about Anne Wigmore and the power of greens, and she was the lady who brought wheatgrass to the populace, and she was in her 50s with all these ailments, and she went into raw food and sprouts and wheatgrass, and in her 70s her hair turned black, and they tested it in the microscope and to make sure that it, so the body can regenerate. The body wants to regenerate as soon as we give it a chance. And increased circulation, we went through gray hair. The skin begins to tighten and become softer. I definitely have noticed that with me. My skin is, I like my skin, and it's like, it's soft, it's like a baby, and some of my wrinkles have gone away. And people comment on my skin. I get a lot of comments on my skin, and that's from raw. Skin is like the first and easiest thing to help on raw. I don't know if it's skin or weight loss, but those are the two things that just like immediately we start to see results. And let's see here. Clarity of thinking. Yeah, no, I would get quicker thoughts and spontaneousness. Now, sometimes I hang out with a group of people, or I'll go to a meeting where there's a lot of people, and people are telling a story or something, and I know where they're going before, and I notice they're saying something that's funny, and I see where they're going with it, and I start to laugh. And then I see a bunch of other people laugh like 10 or 15 seconds later. It's not to say that I'm this smart guy, I don't want to come across like that, but I just feel like I'm in tune, and I know where people, I'm just in tune more with reality, and I love that. I love that. So, symptoms disappear, like all these symptoms like I had from my ankles and my tired, a lot of that has gone away to such a great degree that I'm in here in front of you right now. And blood sugar is normalized. I was really afraid with all the fruit that I eat that my blood sugar would be high. And when I tested with the doctor, my sugar levels are excellent. And they're not too high. I don't do fruit juices, because fruit juices spike the sugar. You need the fiber to regulate it perfectly as nature intended to. And so, but I know a lot of people who get on the raw diet and they're like, I can't do too much sugar, or I have sugar issues. And it takes a while to learn, for your body to learn how to eat sugar and to do that, because you're going to have all these detox symptoms. I know a guy, I did this presentation about 8 months ago in Tarzana, and this guy was inspired by me, and he went and did raw, and he had like a lot of oranges, which are the highest vibration, detoxifying foods. Probably oranges are up there, grapes are up there, lemons are up there. That's why lemons, the master cleanse, it really moves the lymph. So this, where was I? Clear thinking. Where was I?
The guy in Tarzana.
Right. So he started to do fruit the next day, or next week. I talked to him. I said, how did it go? And he goes, well, I did a lot of raw, and I did fruit, and I was getting sick. And I was like, oh. And the whole thing is like, let's take it easy. Like, if you're at this one place, add just a little bit more. I tell people, don't take anything away from the diet, just add to it. Don't take one thing away. The other stuff will fall away in its own time without any deprivation by you. And that's so much better than, if I can't have this, I'm going to keep wanting this. I can't have this, I want that. Sooner or later, after willpower fades, I will go to that. And so So adding to the diet, the other stuff will go away, and it's a whole different process for me in that way. And I got to learn to absorb and take in more sugar at one time, because I want to eat enough so I'm good for 3 or 4 hours, and not be like eating every hour. Like some people, when they start out on the raw, they're like, I got to eat every hour or 2 hours to keep it going, or I have to have all these fats. And I don't believe in high-fat raw vegan diet. I haven't seen that work for me or anybody that I'm friends with or talk to. And definitely for athletics, it's not going to work. I'm not saying fat is bad. We need our 3s and 6s, but our omega-3s and 6s, but so many of the sugar problems happen with fat and the combination of that. And so,
Even if that's from like peanuts and stuff?
yeah.
Polysaturated?
Yeah, now I do that. I will have nuts and seeds, but I usually have those in the evening without the sugar, and I'll have those with vegetables or in my salad. And I don't have them that often. I usually go for like an avocado. That's my #1 fat that I have, is avocado every evening. I've heard some people say avocado is like the greatest food in the world, like for nutrition, or has so much in there. I think everything has so much in there. Everything deserves and has its own credit. And so bowels feel better. I can definitely attest to that one. I go 4, sometimes 5 times a day, and it's great every time, and it's quick, and it's the body moves the way it's supposed to, and I love it.
What do you like about coconut oil? As far as being a good food creator?
I'm not a big fan of oils as much as I am the whole food. So I like the coconut meat out of the coconut, but I do use coconut oil, and I do use olive oil, but I just use those sparingly. The olive, I believe, is better than the olive oil. The way nature, but when we extract just one part of something, we're now messing with nature, and we're messing with chemistry, and changing the whole of how it was designed to be in our body. So I don't believe it's the highest health oils, but yet I do it because I'm not into the highest health. I'm getting there, and I'm human, and I don't believe in I don't want to be like Arnold Ehret, like he was, where I leave society for 3 or 4 years, and I'm fasting, and I'm fruiting, and I'm in the sun, and I'm not really around people. I've still got a foot in the world. So as long as I do, I'll keep doing this. But so improve kidney function, voice strengthens. I think I have a stronger voice than I did a couple years ago. There seems to be a little more power in there. Heart arrhythmias disappear. Improved eyesight. I've always had pretty good eyesight, but I think it's even a little better. And a lot of times I'll be driving with somebody, and we're looking for a street, and I can see the sign, and they can't. And that happens quite often, and people usually comment, God, your eyes are so good. And that might be some natural, but I think there's something to do with cleaning out the body, and the body wants to see better, and hear better, taste better, and smell better, and all of these things that are part of that. So overall sense of well-being and vibrancy comes back. Sometimes I just sit and I just am, and I'm like, wow, this feels so good to be alive and to be in my body, and just like, yes. And like I mentioned last week, I wake up and I'm like, yes, I get to do this new day. It used to be like, I woke up and I'd be like, okay, not this, now I just can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to see what the next conversation I have with somebody is. I can't wait for whatever it is. It's just exciting and well-being. And I have this energy and this calmness too, where I'm not all, there's like a peace and a high energy peace that I really love. And reversal of the aging process. Some people say that I look younger than I did just a few years ago. I believe I do look a little younger, and never get sick or catch what's going on around. I never got, in 2 years since I've been 100% raw, I haven't been sick. And like I said before, I have a lot of brothers in the program, and I give them a hug, hello, and some of them will say, I'm sick right now, you just want to hug me, and I'll give you a big hug. I don't believe I'm gonna get sick. I mean, I guess it could happen to anybody, but my immune system I know has gone up so much, and so I don't seem to get sick. I don't seem to catch what's going around. Now Dr. Morse puts sick in there and puts catch in there, you know, like it's this thing that's outside of us that we get, like this bug. We caught a bug, and what he states is that it's all part of detox. It's all the body trying to get rid of that stuff. And anytime we're sick, it's really a detoxification process. And this is why we produce fevers. When we have fevers, it's like that's the body's way of protecting itself and saying, let's get rid of all of this stuff and let's raise the temperature and burn or incinerate or heat up whatever's in there and expel it. And this is why we vomit and why we have diarrhea or whatever. We're getting rid of stuff. And it's the body's way of doing this. And so, and then there's much, much more. These, by the way, came from Dr. Morse's book, the Detox Miracle Source Book. And it is my raw food Bible. That's the one I go to. Detox Miracle Source Book. And I just like the way he writes it, and he's very fair about it, and he's not like, you gotta be raw. If you're not raw, you're a bad person, or, you know, sometimes I get that vibe from raw foodists, like. And so, let me see here. I think we might have another, we do have a video. There's some people that went on a little detox.
Diabetes has now reached epidemic proportions. There's no doubt that in the States you're building up to a huge health crisis.
Attempting to alleviate the symptoms of diabetes type 2 using pharmaceutical medications, mineral deficient food is moot. It's not going to work.
We wanted to see what would happen if 6 diabetics followed a whole, raw, live foods diet for 30 days. A nationwide research was undertaken to find those eating the typical standard American diet, the SAD diet, and here's what happened. A medical team was assembled to monitor their health on a daily basis. Their blood sugar levels were checked daily. They had no meat, no dairy, no alcohol, no caffeine, no refinements, no junk foods or fast food of any kind, no candies, no sugar.
The food does suck. Like today it really sucks, and yesterday it really sucks, and dinner always sucks.
That's my kind of guy.
A lot of people use food to stuff their emotions. And as people begin to heal, they begin to let loose themselves and their emotions. I don't know.
It's not because of my health issues. It's not because of anyone. I just need it.
I have a feeling that I want to leave too. Just not used to you.
He's been talking too much about going to Mexico.
Why couldn't I? Like, I'm 25 years old. You talking about the program, right? Sure. Well, I don't care if someone can supervise me and hold my hand.
And then this morning at 1 o'clock in the morning, it just came to me that if I leave, I'm not going to get the effects that I should. Now my mind is allowing my body to heal. I can beat diabetes. My addiction to food, my love affair with food, and how I had to just shift my whole mindset.
I've been the man with a lantern looking for the truth, and my God, found it.
I don't see why the doctors don't know about this. I'm going to make them aware.
Secret wave, wow. You lost 25 pounds.
You're not feeling good.
My God, you look like a different person.
You look great. You're something else. You really are. How do we ship all my patients to Arizona?
The results were unbelievable. Fantastic.
It's not just diabetes, it's like everything in that room.
By the fourth day, they were off their insulin completely. By the end of the 30-day period, their blood sugar had stabilized, and they had effectively reversed their diabetes.
We can consider your cure of diabetes.
It's ridiculous. How can you go from insulin-dependent diabetes for 20 years to no insulin at all in 2 weeks?
Along with the amazing improvements in their physical health, there were huge improvements in the mental and emotional health of the participants. Bottom line was, they felt happier.
There's one thing that's everything that we all know. It's in every single person's consciousness, in every language, in every culture, in every country. And it's you are what you eat.
So they went through detox. Everyone went there, and they were feeling that, and I felt it, and friends of mine that I've helped with this, that they go through it, and they're like, the raw food diet doesn't work for me. Just all 6 of those could have said at one point, had they not been at a place to do this, and they were in their comfort of their own home, and just said, you know, raw doesn't work. Just simply, you know, and then they would go back to whatever they ate, and their symptoms would go away, and they'd say, see, I needed this. I have so many friends who would say, like, I feel so much better now having meat. And it's like, because maybe the meat is not detoxifying you anymore. You slowed down, you stopped, or slowed down the detox process. And some people do well on meat, you know, and I'm not here to say that become 100% raw. This is not what this is about. This is about, here's how to incorporate more fruits and greens into the diet. And so I called it the art of detoxification, because I'm reminded of a story that I love this story. I heard before I went raw. Many years, in the early 90s, I heard of this, and it's that Michelangelo was asked, how do you make such a beautiful horse? And he says he takes the block of marble and he takes away everything that's not the horse. And it's like, and that's how like detox works. That's how, when we're getting rid of stuff that's not in us, we get rid of it, and it's like we become the beautiful horse, the beautiful artwork, the beautiful person that, at least I did. I see that in me, and I love it. And I look in the mirror, and I love it. And I'm not like vain, like, oh, you know, look at me. But it's just like, hey, I love this thing called life. And when I eat clean, and I work on me, and I live clean too, I feel so much better. And I'm somebody who needs help in that area as well. I'm not perfect in any way. I never want to come across like I'm the guy who has it, and you guys all have to learn from me, because I'm a student of this, and I'm just transferring some of the data or experiences that I've worked to. And so with that, you know, that concludes our class today. I hope I helped, and I really thank you for coming, and I'll definitely stay for questions too. Real quick before we leave, we have a treat today. We have raw bars.
Yes.
Okay. We have some free samples of some raw goodies. Oh, let me give you. There's some more smoothies here. Let's get some smoothies going. There's a couple people who haven't had any of the green stuff, and then we could refill, because we have some room for this.
The lady that I work with here for great needs, she yeah, I actually, and my partner,
Dominic,
we all kind of like, it was developed in Aspen, she lives in Aspen,
got it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I love it. And finding that moment where you guys can flop within a spot that.
I want to hear her story. She was like,
Yeah, tell us your story.
oh, okay.
I'm gonna be
Stand up.
I'm gonna be cleaning up a little bit too while you guys do that because we do need to have this area for the restaurant.
Can you talk, before that, can you talk about, let's see, colonics and detoxing or doing a, which is first? Is it better to do one before the other? Or?
Sure. Colonics was something I was not for when I started. I was like, this is an exit-only area, nothing. This was designed for a reason, but it was also, we weren't designed to do what we did. And because of what we did, we have to take more extreme measures to clean that up. And by the way, there's a $10 suggested, you know, if you can, over there. So, I think eating a little bit of raw first and then doing a colonic is better than just doing a colonic and then going raw, but I do believe colonics will help. But a lot of times people will do colonics and then just go back to what they were doing. And it kind of defeats the purpose. I know when I did, I remember one time doing a colonic, and it was like one of my first ones, and I had been raw for a couple of years, and I remember breaking after the colonic and breaking the fast, the cleanse, and I went to like Baja Fresh and ate something, and then I went to Starbucks and got like a tall, big frappuccino. I like went back to my old ways, and I had this big, long, tall, caffeinated, and because my colon was clean, or cleaner, it was able to absorb, and I absorbed that caffeine. And this was like at 11 a.m. And I was at midnight, I was like, I want to do dishes, or I need to vacuum or something. I cannot, there's no way I'm going. So the power of the clean colon, of absorbing, was demonstrated to me in that. But it's really a matter of do the colonics and do those things that help you cleanse. And the reason why colonics work so well is because when we're detoxing, we're stirring up all these toxins. They're in our bloodstream, and our colons and kidneys cannot get rid of them quick enough. So the headache happens, and all of these symptoms that I showed happen. And so what we have to do is, when we do a colonic, all of a sudden we start to feel better, and this is why. So I would say, have you been raw for a while, or are you getting into it a little here and there?
I used to be, but I left it. Now I'm trying to get back into it.
Yeah. Well, if you're trying to get back into it, I would keep doing that. And how are you feeling? Are you feeling symptoms?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, just recently it looked like my beard is starting to get grayer quicker all of a sudden.
Okay.
I'm like, wait a minute, I thought it was supposed to be the reverse.
Sometimes it gets gray before it gets dark. Sometimes it seems like those symptoms that I pointed out, things get worse before they get better. And when they get worse, the first thing I say, at least, is this doesn't work for me. This isn't working. Raw food diet doesn't work, or I need this and this and this. So, but I think if you increase your raw intake, you're going to start to feel more of the symptoms. And then a colonic would be a good thing to do. And you'll, yeah?
I just want to add for colonics, I've done them before, and I think they're really good for everyone. But the key is that when you go to someone, they may try to talk you into a program of like getting 10 of them in a row or something. And you just have to know your body, because that is really good for some people. But for me, that would be a little too much for me. So if I could space it out maybe once every week or once every week and a half. I just want to say, because sometimes when you go to these places, they say, oh, you should have 10 of them. But if you don't really know your body, you know, so, But I don't, if you've never had one, there's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing hurts, and it's really comfortable.
I love them.
Yeah, it's really good.
I totally
It's
noticed
good
the
for you.
difference in my life, like 100%.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe the things that, I mean, not
That
to
come
gross
out.
anybody out, but like,
Right.
you're like, it's like scary.
Right.
You're like, these things have been inside of you
Right.
your whole life.
Yeah. Right.
That are leaving. It's like,
You don't get to watch them, do you?
yeah. I
Yeah.
watched my entire thing. My therapist, she was holistic. Yeah, she was awesome. She told me everything. It was like she just actually describing what was coming out of me, the color wise, there was mucus.
Yeah.
I stopped when I just became vegan and I stopped eating dairy. Like she could tell. She's like, I could tell that you stopped eating dairy because of the mucus.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. I love it.
And then the type of colonics too, because I used to go to the ones where they just, the big tube and they just push the water up, and then I found this lady, Annabelle, Healing Waters, and she has the one
Oh
that's
yeah, no,
smaller.
yeah, Healing Waters.
Smaller, and it just stays on gently, there's no on and off, and her whole thing is that mentally you connect with your body, and you have to learn how to work your own bowels, so you know when you're full, and you have to actually push, and it was really weird at first, because I was so used to the water shooting up, and it just handling itself, but her whole method of like, it's pretty cool, and she puts probiotics back in too, which is important.
Yeah.
I actually have an appointment after this, my first therapy session.
Oh, you do?
Oh, great. Things will never be the same.
They really won't.
No, yeah, it definitely, they definitely help, and there's so many things that we can do, and just the simple raw food is cleansing in itself, and so especially the green smoothie like we talked about, the fiber and the insoluble fiber taking many more times its own weight in toxins and getting out of you, like kale and soluble fiber and kale, and so in here, for those of you who came a little late, there is bananas and dates and blueberries, broccoli, spinach, kale, parsley, celery, and chard. So this is very green. And the smoothie was kind of brownish, purplish from the blueberries, and the greens take over. And what I like to say is like the greens kick the blueberries' butt after a while, and greens reign supreme, the power of greens.
And how many bananas did you put in there?
There was, with all of us, there's about 16. Yeah.
There's some raw food diet called 30 bananas a day. Have you guys heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Last
okay.
week I was talking about that.
I wasn't here last week, but
Okay.
I read it somewhere and I was like, I haven't even talked to my girlfriend about it, but yeah, I know some girl is like,
Freely.
yeah.
She's awesome. She cycled across Australia in 40 days.
That's amazing.
And she went from 60 to 120 pounds.
That's crazy.
You know, and her energy, and 30 bananas a day is they're really, I love what they're doing, and they're the high sugar, you know, and sugar's bad, you know, it's like, no, they say sugar's good, just stay away from fat, keep the fat low, have your fats at night, away from the sugar. So,
But they mean a fruit sugar.
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah.
sugar is
Yeah,
different
not
from refined
sugar.
sugar.
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
white sugar.
Well, what I'm talking about is real sugar.
Yes.
Not everything. It's funny. It's like we have to call things organic. You know, it's like I have a dream that one day nothing will be like organic or called, because everything will be.
Yeah.
You know, it's like sugar is a great word. It's great for you, but it got a bad rap because of whatever people processed it and refined and extracted. Sugar is awesome for you. Salt is awesome for you if you're getting it in greens, where it was meant. Sodium is an essential element for our bodies to have, and sodium is awesome in its right, pure form. And so yeah, okay, so real quick, we're next week at Selenia's house. There's going to be at noon a potluck, a vegan potluck. And she could tell you about it afterwards. I'm going there next Sunday, and I know a few people
There's
who are.
flyers on here.
Yeah.
You guys just came in.
So before you go to the Super Bowl and have your chicken wings and your pizza and beer, if any of you are doing that.
There won't be any of that at my house.
Yeah. You can come and get just a hint of health and then go to your Super Bowl party. And I like going to Super Bowl parties or Thanksgiving dinners and watching people fall one by one. And I could see by what people eat and how old they are, I could see like who's gonna fall on the couch first. And last Thanksgiving, I caught it. I was like, she's going down first, he's going down next, and I was right on the money. And the kids who had the meat, they were staying up because they have their enzymes still, and meat hasn't affected them yet, you know. And I don't mean to, you know, I don't want to be like meat is bad and all of that, but I am into fruits and greens. Just have that a little more. And so with that, you want to tell us about
meat
your?
Meat is bad.
Huh?
Meat is bad.
Well, I believe so for me. Meat is bad for me, but I don't want to.
One of the things that's a fact though about meat is that it's acidic. So just given that.
Yes.
And then our digestive systems
Oh yeah. I could do a whole thing on why meat is bad.
One last question. How many different types of cleanses have you done? There's like the lemonade cleanse and this one and that one. I'm just trying to find one good one. I don't want to hear about all the others.
Okay. I'll give you a great cleanse. This is the cleanse for you to have, and it'll in the long run beat any other cleanse you do. That's the raw food diet cleanse. Just go raw. That's cleansing in itself. We're always cleansing. The body's always cleansing. You know, I always wanted to do this big cleanse because I was so bad. I ate like terrible, so now I got to do this 40-day water fast. By the way, what I didn't get into is if you do a raw food diet, that's cleansing. If you take out the vegetables and just do fruit, that's more cleansing. If you take out the fruit and just do juices, like green and fruit juices, that's even more cleansing. The top of the mountain, the highest cleansing possible, is a straight water fast. And it's serious business, and that's not for somebody to do who's just like, had been bad. Yeah, I did that. Like, before I was raw, I remember I was eating like so much junk and doing drugs and stuff, and I wanted to get clean, and I did a 7-day water fast just from that. So I went from that to that, and that didn't work out so well. But when you eat really well and you build up to it, one of my friends, Dan McDonald, who some of you know from the internet, the Life Regenerator, he just finished a 14-day water fast, and I was with him on one of my YouTube interviews is with him. I'm on YouTube and with him, and we're talking in Arizona right the day before he went on his water fast. And 14-day water fast. After day 9, his wrinkles went away. After 9 days of just water. And then some people, and I learned this going overtime right now, but so I learned this from Arnold Ehret, the one we saw earlier, who did all the fasting. And some people who die from fasting, they don't die from starvation. They die from auto-intoxication. They're poisoning itself. When we're fasting or cleansing, remember I said that it goes into the bloodstream and the bowels and the kidneys can't get rid of it quick enough? Well, some people who go 30, 40 days on a fast from a standard American diet will die from poisoning themselves, from auto-intoxication. And so it's so much better to ease into it, to make a lifestyle change, to say, hey, I'm going to do a green smoothie every morning. I talked to, or I got an email from Brooke. Brooke said she just started from last week's class, she added in green smoothies, and she feels so much better. In one week, or she emailed me that 2 or 3 days ago, so 4 or 5 days, a green smoothie, just of that. You know, and I believe in 2 days, I believe in 1 day you will feel a difference. 1 day of just a green smoothie, have whatever you want for lunch and whatever you want for dinner. Just something's in the greens, and the blender's going to blend and chew the smoothie like your teeth will never, and get all the nutrition that's in the plant itself.
How about just juicing?
Juicing is really good too, and I do juice, but I believe in the smoothie and keeping the fiber in as well, and getting juicing is great, and there are some benefits to juicing that smoothies can't do, because you can get a whole pound of spinach in 1 glass.
And massive amounts of kale and lettuce and arugula.
That's awesome.
In my garden right now, so I'm going to bring some
awesome
extras on Sunday. So much.
That's awesome.
Oh, great. I will take any green you have.
Yeah, and we have the winter veggies right now. It's all cabbage, kale, broccoli.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
You go on a fast, like what's like your source of fiber in order to for your
There is no fiber in the fast.
So how do you get your balance and movement?
It moves. The body will move it. But on a regular basis, we want fiber in our diets when we're not fasting. But and I passed something around the list for people for your names, number, email addresses. And if anybody's interested in a green smoothie cleanse, last week when I did the Power of Green, I got almost everybody saying they're interested in doing a green smoothie cleanse. If you are, just put under the GS, just make a check mark. If you're doing that, I want to put together a cleanse where it's not as hardcore as a juice cleanse that you guys are doing here. Especially the last week where you're just a juba, nothing but juices. But a raw food cleanse where we're doing green smoothies and having a salad at night. And like I can make you guys a salad or something like that, and we can do this together. And it's so, it'll be doable instead of a hardcore juice cleanse or a fast or a water fast or, you know, all of this stuff. Just stuff like that. But so, okay. So obviously I could, once I start talking, I could go. So let me stop. Thank you so much for you guys.
Thank you.